How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. I just wanted to say thank you for those who took the time to subscribe to my channel. I went through reading the comments on my last video. Funny thing, initially when I first uploaded it, apparently when it asks you if the video is appropriate for children or not, and if you put that it is, it disables your comments. So everybody that reached out to me right away from the beginning to let me know that my comments were disabled, I want to say thank you. I've gone through a bunch of them comments. I'm blown away by the amount of support that I actually have for me starting up this channel. I figured I'd start off with this video. Going forward, I'd give a quick tour of my garage, and then I would explain a little bit about what practice is and what practice means to be in my belief store. So let's go take a look at my shop. There's my dog Roxy. So got the skating rink starting to thaw a little bit. The snow's finally starting to melt here in Canada. Still a little chilly, but she's warming up. Thank God summer's going to be coming. So it's going to go around here. So this is it. This is where I host the majority of my practices. Got a bench built up, people for observing, partaking, need a little bit of a break. Got 4 tables going. 4th table over in the back there. Got a pulley system attached that can actually come off. You can use it as a table. I got my elliptical. There's a leg press machine. This is my anchor. It's a little tool I use for training. I'll go into that in a later video, explain about it. I just got a dumbbell set, my curl bar, my hammer curl bars, bucket of rice over there. This right here, of everything I have, this is by far my favorite exercising tool that I use. Again, later on I'll go into a video that explains everything about it and why it means so much to me and how it's come. Got my squat rack, just sort of more plates, everything else. This is my pulley system. Same thing, I'll go into a little bit about how it works, how I find it works for me, and how it helps benefit me. So this is where we practice here in Red Deer, Alberta. So car hoist over there. I don't work on vehicles. There was one question asked if I did a bunch of work or anything on vehicles. I don't, came with the shop, but I do enjoy tinkering on my daughter's vehicles, wife's vehicles, should they need an oil change, brakes, tire rotation, anything like that. Everybody always asks, what do you do to become a better arm wrestler? The biggest thing I can tell you is practice. As much as it's an individual sport, when you're up there and you're competing, it's very much so a team sport, arm wrestling is. Because without a good team behind you and to train with and training properly, chances are you're not going to become more successful when it comes to the table. You can be stronger by lifting weights, but them connective tissues, them stabilizer muscles that you get from being on a table at practice, you're not necessarily going to achieve in the gym by doing it that way. Biggest mistake that people make when they show up to practice is they bring their pride with them, okay? Leave your pride at the door. Practice is just about that. It's a practice. It's about to improve yourself to get better for when the time comes for you to shine. After pulling means nothing, okay? Practice pulling means nothing. The only thing that it means is to you and what you're getting out of it and how the habits that you're creating when you're doing your practices. Biggest mistake with pride is people want to win. They show up to practice wanting to win, and chances are you're going to be doing a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to get away with in a tournament. And by doing these in practices, all you're doing is creating bad habits. So if you're one of the strongest guys, everybody gets a little bit of something that they want or they need for their move, and of course they're going to be strong. What makes an elite arm wrestler from an amateur or a practice pulling arm wrestler is the difference of being able to get straight and square from where you start, where you're supposed to be in a tournament, to the position that you feel strongest in.
If you're always practicing in your strong position when you begin, you don't know how to get there. So key is leave that pride at the side and concentrate on training as if you have a referee in the room, as if you're competing for a tournament. Even if you're going against somebody else and you're seeing your club and your team and they're starting with a cocked wrist, start with a straight wrist, okay? Because you're going to be creating good habits for yourself. I would advise letting them know, but you can't beat it into them. If they ain't gonna and they want to continue to train with a cocked wrist, then all they're going to do is they're going to set themselves back later on as their career progresses. So the biggest thing is finding a good group of guys, okay? You don't want to limit yourself to just a certain amount of hands, because every arm wrestler, every hand, everybody that competes pulls in a slightly unique, different way, a different style. They have more pressures, their hand is bigger, their hand is smaller. So if you limit yourself to 4 or 5 people all the time and you're always practicing with that group of people, you're gonna end up getting to know where their strengths, where their weaknesses are, and you're only gonna be used to practicing with those types of hands and those types of strengths. The more you compete outside of just your group or practice outside of your area, if you have another club an hour away from you in the other direction and one club an hour away in the other direction, I would suggest hit both. Obviously, whatever one you're getting most out of, that's where I would concentrate most of my time. But to pick and choose who you're gonna arm wrestle with and who you're gonna compete with, and I don't wanna pull with that group or I don't wanna pull with this group because I don't like that person, take that and put it aside, because it's all about getting better. The more hands you feel, the more knowledge that you're gonna get in your body just by feeling their hand. Every time you grip up with somebody, there's an information highway that gets sent to you. The more experience you have by gripping up with different people, pulling with different clubs, you start to realize more the easier route just by how they feel in your hand. So don't limit yourself to a certain group of people. Try to get as much out there as you can. Every arm wrestler is going to tell you this is how you're going to become the best. This is how I become the best. It's worked for me. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. What they did, absolutely it worked for them. Every single arm wrestler out there, especially on the elite level, have this book that they created on what got them to the way they are. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for you, but he may have a chapter in his book that may be beneficial to you. Somebody else may have another chapter. So if you can take as much information as you can from every club, every arm wrestler, each individual that you have, try it out, see if it works for you. Some stuff will, some stuff won't. But you can take a little bit of everybody's chapter and you can build your own knowledge, okay? So I like to think of my club, the guys I train with, we're like a brotherhood. I trust these guys not only with my arm because we're practicing, I trust that they're not gonna hurt me, but I trust that they're gonna help me if I'm doing something wrong. If you don't have that trust with your group, with your guys in practice, and you think that they're out to get you, or you have a grudge towards somebody else, it's only gonna hurt yourself and it's gonna hurt the club in the long run. The more everybody's willing to work together in the club that you're with, the better and more successful everybody in your club is gonna become, okay? So with that being said, it's crucial that you have a bond with the people that you train with. A lot of people say if you're sore, don't show up to practice. I say nay. I say show up to every practice that you can. Whether you're feeling 30%, whether you're feeling 70%, whether you're feeling 90%. But if you create a good enough bond and where you trust the people that you train with, you should be able to tell them, yeah, man, I'm not feeling good today. I don't want to power pull too much. I just want to more so go through movements. And that's what it should be on the table. If you're way stronger than the person that you're practicing with, that doesn't mean just slam them down every time. let him get a little bit, get him, as long as he's working in a good position and he's working the right angles, let him take some of it. If you're that much stronger than him, then you can work and take it back. You can slowly figure out the angles that are actually going to work for you better on a table when you're training sometimes with somebody that's weaker than you. Because that's when you can determine, holy shit, I just did this position going this way. It only took me 30% effort, as opposed to if I came this way, it took me 60% effort. Well, chances are that 30% effort that you put in, the angles you went through, remember them. Because chances are that was a good angle. If you're going against somebody that's a lot stronger, where you're not able to get out the one way where it was 60%, you might have that little bit of an edge where if you work that other angle. So if you're consistently practicing properly, and by properly with the wrist straight, the shoulder square, visualizing that there is a ref in the room every time you start, and you're not always fighting for an advantage. If somebody wants an advantage on you in practice, let them have it. Because if you're used to always maybe getting a little bit of a disadvantage and you know how it feels, when you actually get a fair grip or you get an advantage, it just feels so much better. So practice and pride, they don't mix. Take the pride, leave it outside. Okay, guys? So trust your group. Trust the guys you're with. Even the new guys, I've had new guys come up to me with matches I was going to have that have only been in the club for 5 or 6 months, and they've watched some videos and they give me a little bit of tidbit information about somebody I'd be going up to compete against, something I had to watch for that would give them an advantage and me a disadvantage. And they were right. Even though they only had 4 or 5 months experience, sometimes somebody with the least amount of experience can bring something to your game that could help improve it. So listen, everybody. It may be right, it may be wrong, but everybody's entitled to their opinion on how they feel that it works or what they see. And only sometimes that is actually going to help for you. Sometimes it isn't. That's up to you to decide. But with that being said, practice is a group effort. Becoming an arm wrestler of an elite level is a group effort. You can only do so much by yourself. Without a good club, you're limiting yourself, and with only concentrating on training with a few group of people, you're limiting the potential that you can have, because so much more information you can build into your arm wrestling system with the more hands that you grab onto and the more arms that you end up holding. So that's it for today, guys. Tune in more. I'm going to be going over some of my exercise routines, why I feel that they actually have benefited me, my opinion on why they work for me. If it's going to work for you, maybe. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use it, but some of the stuff that I may talk about in the next couple of weeks or months going forward, you may be able to use to help progress your arm wrestling career. All right, guys, stay strong.